And Kevin's here.
Yo.
So I think that's it.
Yeah, Carolyn Zinner's here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I said that earlier.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't do you last. I had you sort of in the middle, Carol. Now Carolyn Nemus isn't here, but we know she's not coming to the meeting tonight.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Kathleen?
Carol Nemeth is not coming to the meeting tonight.
No, that's incorrect. She's joining us after a bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
You were not yet online when I shared that.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And if everybody could remind me to text, I've got Post-it notes all over to remember to do that. Thanks, Kathleen. I apologize for distributing last month's minutes just today. Kathleen did get me in plenty of time, and somehow I missed the email. But if you've had a chance to look them over, would anyone like to make a motion to correct or add to the minutes from December 8th meeting?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
We needed a second to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Carolyn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thanks. Well, maybe you shouldn't because you kept.
I can.
Okay, again.
Candace.
Robert's rules, he's standing.
Okay, you're right. Thank you, Candace.
I've served on many boards in my life, and I can fully confess, I don't know Robert's rules as well as I should. Jim, do you have anything substantive or not to report on our financial situation?
Yeah, we over the course of the time since our last meeting, the only thing that's happened is we've deposited $50 into the escrow account. That was from some walking tours. And so the balances are for the escrow account, $6,584.72. And for our historic district city budgeted money, we have $4,695 remaining. That's it.
Forgive me, will you repeat the first figure? 65, what was it? And 72 cents?
584.
I'm sorry?
6,584.
Okay, got it.
And 72 cents.
Got it. I got the 72 cents. I got the 6,500. I just didn't get the 84. Sorry, I think you turned your head, and I think I need to. I'm not that high up in the mountains at all, but I see not working as well as they should today. Okay, so that 6,584.72 cents. That of course hasn't had the most recent medallion purchase deducted, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions from Jim about our finances? Okay. All right, then we'll move on to Shane, who's joining us tonight to report on some matters having to do with the planning department and a whole bunch of things. Take it away, Shane.
Thank you for having me this evening. Before we begin, as everybody knew, yesterday there was a fire at 456 Bourbon Street. I don't have a lot of details on it, but certainly our thoughts go out to the residents that were in that building. It's my understanding that they all made it out. And to the best of my knowledge, there were no injuries. So certainly a sad turn of events. And we have also reached out to the property owner, let them know that the city would assist them in any way possible. So certainly keep them in your thoughts and prayers.
I'll be right back.
Coming weeks as they look for new places to live and rebuild their lives. So that's just wanted to say about that. Also, unfortunately, we had another fire last week at the Patron property. So I just wanted to talk briefly about that because obviously you will be seeing a demolition permit on that property at some point, and it's a little convoluted. So I won't try to get into too much detail on that. But we were called to the scene to investigate the structure for any building issues and make sure that it was safe or to be boarded up. And ultimately, we were not allowed to enter the property at the beginning because there was an active investigation by the ATF. And I believe that investigation is still ongoing. So I never actually entered the property, but it's my understanding from others that structurally, the property is not in danger of falling immediately. Brian Baines, who is the on-call contractor for the city of Havertide Grace, his team did an excellent job in getting up there as soon as they could to board up the property and make sure that it was safe. Because certainly there's a lot of kids in the adjacent neighborhood that we wouldn't want to get hurt in there. So unfortunately, moving forward, that property will have to be demolished, and the outbuilding or one of the former tenant houses will also have to be demolished. We have already solicited bids from contractors to have that done. I don't have a date for when that work will take place, but certainly the damage to the structure, while it's not in imminent danger of falling, it is significant damage. And also I've been told from when the property was originally vacated that the water was left to run, and there's significant water damage prior to the fire in the house. So certainly that's very sad to hear. The property itself was previously under contract. I don't know if that is still the case. The state has indicated to me in a phone call with their attorney that they, at this time, do not have the funds to be able to maintain the property or demolish the structure. So unfortunately, it will fall on the city to take care of that, but we will lien the property for any expenses that are necessary to remove the structures. Yes.
I did not hear the name of the property. Something was it, making it hard to hear. What was the name?
It was the Patron property. I think maybe somebody needs to mute their, while they're not talking. That's maybe why you're not hearing me. But it's the Patron property. It was originally Charlotte Patron, the estate of Patron. And the two daughters are not, I don't believe, in the area anymore. But they have no funds to be able to take care of the property, so we will have to take care of it in the immediate future. Once the property sells, hopefully the city will be reimbursed for those funds. So I will submit that demolition permit to the HPC for consideration in the coming weeks. You don't have to take any action on that this evening, but just wanted to let you know that that was happening. I
Do you have an address? I'm sorry, Shane. Do you have an address?
Yes, I do. It's 1715 Chapel Road. It's right past the roundabout there at Bully Rock and Scenic Manor.
It's almost under the water tower.
Yes, thank you. It's adjacent to the water tower. And just as a side note, not that it's relevant to this, but the city did acquire that adjacent property. It was given to the city, so that's good news. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to fix that intersection. Not really historic related, but hopefully we will be able to adjust that intersection and make it a little bit better than it is now. As far as other demolitions around town, I did submit to the commission the demolition permit for I think it's 615 Concord Street, which has been abandoned for quite some time. There was a collection of materials in and around the house and some equipment that was not supposed to be there. So we did reach out to the property owner just to ask what their plans for the property was and whether they plan to rehab or whether they plan to demolish the structure. The property owner did call me back and indicated that they had plans to demolish the structure. And as you know, I've been actively attempting on any of these projects to ascertain from the property owner what their plans are. And if they do plan to demolish, I respectfully ask them to allow us to document the structure. So I had asked, unfortunately, because of my schedule, I couldn't make it, but I arranged for Diane Claire to go to the property, and she has documented the structure. I personally have not seen the pictures yet. She is still labeling them. So while it's sad that these structures are being demolished, I do everything I can to try to document them for the Historic Preservation Commission. So I'm sure you guys will be acting on that demolition permit to make a recommendation during this meeting. But that's that one. And then also I wanted to follow up with you on the Mitchell property, which is on Route 40. And that property was annexed into the city last year. And the city council did pass an ordinance for mixed use to allow the development of that property for residential and commercial uses where that zoning district didn't previously allow residential uses. So that project is moving forward, and we have received a demolition permit, which I have forwarded to the Historic Preservation Commission as well. And that structure has also been documented. I'd like to thank Carol Nemeth for, she's not here yet, but I'd like to thank her for attending with Diane Clare to document the structure. Diane and myself, we went out to the site early. I wanted to go out first to make sure that it was safe for Carol to be out there. And we did take some pictures while we were out there. And then Carol and Diane followed up with some more detailed pictures of that structure. I can say again, it's unfortunate the structure is being removed. However, I am grateful to the developer who has kind of given us free rein to explore the property, document the property, has asked us for our thoughts on naming the private street that will go into the property. I don't know specifically. I originally said in an email that I think to Gene that they may consider renaming the project. I may have spoken out of turn on that. So I'll get with them on that. But certainly I would task the commission with thinking about some ways to honor the property or honor the area that we can forward to the developer, Mr. Dave Layfield, so that he can take them under consideration. I was looking, I spent many hours one night because as a geography major in Towson, I just love maps. That's why I do what I do, because of my love for maps and topography and all those things. So I spent many hours looking at the old Martinet maps of the area. And there is the historic property in Aberdeen known as Swansbury. And I don't think it would probably be appropriate. And I'm not suggesting that my opinion matters. I'm just stating that I looked at some of these things. But Swansbury Mills were there. And it seems like the general area, including the Mitchell property, was labeled as Swansbury. I can tell you on those Martinet maps that Mitchell does not appear in the location where that Mitchell farm is. Now, the names are scattered throughout the map. There are Mitchells on the map in the general vicinity, but not in that area. I did see that Fletcher was a prominent name that is right in that area. So don't know what the historical relevance of that is, but I can tell you that they have gone through the NEPA process because they're receiving federal funds through HUD to be able to construct this project. So they had to go through the NEPA process, which I know just enough about to be dangerous. Thankfully, I don't have to be too involved in that. But they have submitted the documentation to all the appropriate historical agencies, including the Maryland Historical Trust. And to the best of my knowledge, the Maryland Historical Trust has stated that there are no identifiable architectural or cultural resources on the site that would give them any pause in approving any funds to be distributed to the developer for the construction of that project. However, I did enjoy going to the property, and I can tell you that it was very, very neat to see the beams that were on top of the foundation for the first floor of the main dwelling, as well as the bungalow. So from the best I can tell and from information I've received from Mr. Layfield, it appears that there may have been cabins on the property at one time. Those cabins were demolished, and the existing structures that are there now were constructed on top of that. Mr. Layfield is also an avid woodworker, and he had his lumber salvage person come out to the property with him to take a look at that. And he stated that most of the lumber is not of a quality worth salvaging for woodworking purposes. I'm not an expert on termite damage. It looked like significant termite damage in especially the barn, but he said for structures of that age, it actually isn't that significant. But I took pause in walking into the barn because it did look like it could fall like a house of matchsticks. So that is unfortunate, but we are hopeful that Mr. Layfield will do something to honor the property, whether it be at the site or provide something to the city of Havre de Grace as a token or a monument or a memorial to the property. So that's in the coming months. I anticipate probably sometime in March that demolition would occur. They are still evaluating it for what they can salvage from the property. So that's all I have really on the demolition front at this time. And that was really the main bulk of the information that I wanted to provide to you all this evening.
Well, I'd like to thank you and Diane and certainly Carol as well for going out and trying to give us a little time travel experience with the Mitchell farm. And the photographs are wonderful. The house is really quite spacious and lots of natural light. Not quite what I expected, really. So anyway, thank you for that. And as those of you who saw my last email on this topic, I'm pretty sure I copied you, Shane. We think we can go ahead and do some nice documentation of this property and continue to do it, because I have a feeling there are people in the community of Havre de Grace or larger in the county who might have some information we can go on. So we're going to continue doing that. And later when Carol joins us, she's written up some of her findings from her trip out there. So thanks again, Shane, very much indeed.
As a side note, just I think I've told you before how I did a lot of genealogical research in my own family. So
you're going to bring up the Sappingtons, aren't you?
No, not the sons.
Oh no.
No, I did. One evening, I spent many hours researching the Mitchell property to see what I could find. And unrelated to that, there was a lot of really cool articles that I found of just, if you've ever seen old newspaper about the social events around town, very cool things that I found about Havre de Grace and Miss Vandiver's parties and all those things. So just really cool. So I kind of just really enjoy reading those things. So,
Absolutely.
It's history, but I'm happy to, at this time, I'll answer any questions you have. If there's any other topics that you would like for me to go over or discuss, I can try to do that at this time.
Anybody?
Jean, would it be okay if I went next, and then maybe Shane, you could just, I don't have that many things, but in case you want to add anything to what I'm telling them?
Sure.
Sure. Before you do that, Carolyn, I just want to ask a quick question. Shane, the request for the demolition of the Concord Street property, did that come to us via email?
Yes, I sent you an email,
Okay.
I believe in late December or early January.
Okay, I've got to follow up on that. I will. Okay. Yeah, great. And yeah, please, Carolyn, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, I did want to tell you that I talked to the mayor about, what's the word I'm looking for? Displaying the photographs, the before and after photographs of the Historic Preservation Awards that Kathy Keene sent me from, I think, 2002 on to 2020. So he thought it was a good idea. Adam, I think he sent you that file with photographs, did he not, the mayor?
I don't think I've received it yet, but I'll follow up with Miss Laird in the morning. Laird.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I think he wanted you to look at them to see what we could do with them in terms of reproducing them, because I think they're all digital, right, Kathy? I mean, all those photographs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just, getting the right size, and I don't know if they would be the same size as the ones that are hanging in City Hall, because nobody ever sees them. They're in that corridor there, so it would be nice to work on that. And then the other thing, I did talk to him a little bit about the heritage properties list that was submitted before the end of the year. So he wants to think about it some more. And I also told him that we were looking at the possibility of maybe a conservation district based on, was it Brunswick was the town?
Yes.
Okay.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. Okay. So anyway, he said he'd like to see, he was going to talk to April, and he would like to see if there's some kind of protection we can give those properties. But that particular list of properties, I think, had some they had some churches, they had some of the older, well-maintained homes. So I don't know that they're under any risk. And I know that was part of the discussion that we were having when we picked those properties. But it might be interesting to see what he comes up with April, to see what council can vote on. So that can be applied to other properties going forward that maybe are not as well-maintained or do not have the same level of history in terms of, the churches and the railroad bridge, which is really not out of our purview anyway, but these were things that we wanted to identify. So he's hoping within the next maybe couple of months he can, depending on all the other work that council's doing and the city's doing, that they can put something together or get back to us and ask, task us with something maybe as far as that conservation district idea. So that's where we are with that. So I think that's all I have. Shane, do you think I missed anything?
No, I don't think you missed anything at all. I have to be honest, I haven't had any discussions with the mayor. You've had more discussions with him on that.
Okay.
I just, with other things, unfortunately taking some precedence, I have not had that ability conversation.
Kathy, did you have a question? You raised your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that all that whole document was put together by Marita O'Connell.
Okay.
And she has all the pictures, the digital pictures of,
Okay.
I kind of added on 2018 and 2019 at the end to kind of continue what she had done. But she's the one that has possession of all those pictures, and she's the one that wrote up all the little, comments about each one and put it all together for us when she was a member of this commission.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Adam, whenever you get that,
If I
then
could,
let me know if there's, what you think in terms of recreating them from that file, or if I need to reach out to Marita and get something else or whatever. Go ahead, Jean, I'm sorry.
let me clarify that the list that we submitted of landmark properties to Bill Martin in October, while there was much overlap from earlier lists, including the one that Marita shared with us, was voted on by this commission.
Right.
It's a different thing. It's
Right. That's two different.
Yeah.
The list that we're referring to for the 2002 to present award winners there are some that overlap again, but it's not the same thing. The list we submitted to Bill Martin was the end of October, and it was in response to his request, which had taken a while for the Historic Preservation Commission to get back to him about, but we're eager to see some really good work done on it. And one quick thing that I don't know whether you had a chance to talk to him about, Carolyn, that I'm kind of warming to is this idea of streetscape preservation as a possible, local protection of some kind. I don't know what it would be, but, we've talked about the conservation district. We've talked about individual landmark properties. I think it's kind of interesting to think about a street being kind of iconic. And of course, I bet all of us can come up with several that we would think of right away. So anyway, forgive me. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay. So did you say Tim? I hadn't talked to Tim about anything. Did you say Tim? I don't know who you said that I talked to.
Oh no, Bill, had you talked at all about these iconic streets as a kind of historic preservation entity as opposed to the individual landmark properties? Yeah, and there's no reason why you should have. I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah.
And the other thing is that the exterior painting that they were doing on the Moore homestead is done, and I think the porches are almost complete in terms of refurbishing the porches. And then they'll just have to wait till next year to get the money for the interior painting, since they felt that the porches especially were the highest priority. So they wanted to seal up the windows and things like that. So to work on that kind of preservation that would get the hardest wear basically from the weather. So that work's been done.
The porches don't look done. So I think they are still working on those porches.
I think they started on the main porch, the front porch.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Yeah, I
the
stepped
side
up
ones
and-
aren't done yet, no.
Yeah, and even the front porch, because I was taking a walk and I got tired, so went up on the porch to sit on the rocking chair, and it still has that plywood on it, and it
Okay,
sort of
all right.
bounced when I stepped on it. So I know that they still have some work to do on the front too.
Gene, may I, is it all right if I
Sure.
jump in real quick? Just with something that Carolyn said regarding, or I think you may have said regarding streetscape preservation.
Uh-huh.
I have ideas on that we can do. Of course, I have more full-blown things I'd like to work on, and we've talked about design guidelines.
Mhm.
But Carolyn, I'm happy at any point if you would like to work on. I have some very simple things we can do for streetscape preservation relating to what I've talked about before is getting rid of in the National Register Historic District area, getting rid of
The setbacks.
and instead of making them minimum setbacks, making them maximum setbacks. We can do that very easily. So,
Okay, we can work on that
Hey, when
together.
you say very easily, doesn't that require a zoning? Ordinance?
Yes, it would require ordinance, but I mean, we can prepare something. It's not a
Right.
not a very drawn out ordinance. I mean, there's some very simple
Sure.
language that we could put together if there was the will. Since that comes from the zoning side of things, I'd have to run that through the planning committee, or Carolyn, I mean, you could run that through the planning committee to see what they think, and then we can work on it together. It's a little different, obviously, since you would be maybe pursuing that, but it does come through zoning. So I would run it through the planning committee, or you could run it. So we can talk offline about that and try to get something moving.
Okay, great, sure.
Thank
So
you.
that's all I have too, but I just really wanted to kind of tag team with Shane there because it jogged
Sure.
my memory or his memory, or if I said something that wasn't quite correct.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, I think overall, I'm really gratified by, I think what has turned out to be a lot more communication between the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Department and our wonderful folks there, and also our council liaison, Carolyn Zinner. Really quick question, Shane, which really doesn't so much relate to historic preservation, but the Green Street project. I thought that the city of Havre de Grace was avoiding private roads.
It's not really a road per se.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a private
Driveway or something.
drive, but the emergency operations specifically, since it has, it serves several buildings. Emergency operations likes to have those named so that they are
Okay.
identifiable and things like that.
Help with the, God
Right.
forbid there's an emergency.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not really a private road per se.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. Okay, Shane, thanks again.
And I apologize. I appreciate you putting me on the agenda first, as I have a 9-year-old, and so I need to attend to those things. So
Absolutely.
I hope
Thank
you
you very much.
don't mind. So thank you all.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Shane.
Hi,
Thank you very
Shane.
Thank you,
much.
Shane.
Okay, we can move on to other activities here. We have to think about these, not think about, but vote on the preservation awards. Adam, could you allow me to share my screen, please? Yeah, so here we've got we have photos and we have a list of, I think there's 8 or 9. And what we need to do is pick, vote on them. We have in the past, as you know, picked 1 some years. We've picked as many as 3 some years. And we're under no obligation to pick any at all if we feel like, thanks, Adam, if we feel like we're, not finding folks that or houses rather, that we think are conforming to this U.S. Secretary of Interior's guidelines, standards on historic preservation. So why don't we do this? I'm going to bring up some photos of the properties that we've identified, and then we can have a discussion about them, okay? And then we'll have a vote. So here we go. Sorry.
Music accompanies the photos?
I'm sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Hold on, hold on. I just went right into it without thinking about that. I know all of you will remember which ones we had. And we can think as we're watching what they are. We are seeing them, correct?
No.
Not yet.
No,
Do we have to click on chat or are they just going to show up?
No, they just show up.
Okay.
Hold on, everybody, hold on. I haven't done this for a few weeks, so I have to remember what I'm doing. Sorry. I probably, I'm showing you my email or something. Oh God, you'll see all my secrets here. I wish I had some. I forgot to
There we go.
There you go.
specify which screen that people were going to get to see. Forgive me, guys. Only human. just chill for a minute. Just relax. Okay, so those are the 8 or 9.
I didn't see 615 Commerce, the Staff's house.
Yeah, I took the Stathis house out, to be honest.
Okay.
Because several people commented that they didn't feel that the house was original. And honestly, I haven't had a chance to talk to the owners about it. They are friends. And so, this is the way it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, they in no way even knew I was suggesting that they're, so, and I left the Hoax House in, even though many of us felt that it was certainly really interesting historically. It's an 1838 house. There's maintenance issues with it. So, yeah. So do people feel like they're ready to vote, or would you like to have an opportunity to, make a case for your favorite house, or how would you like to go about this?
I'll say something.
Sure. Go ahead, Kathy.
About the 706 Market Street, which was the blue, vernacular Victorian with the shingles. Now that house does have replacement windows, replacement vinyl windows, but they are the same style as the original, because that house is exactly like my house at 414 Bourbon. I mean, really, it's exactly the same architecture. So I do think that's acceptable. It's not what we would prefer. We would prefer to see the original windows kept, like on my house in Bourbon Street.
Right.
But I don't think that would rule the house out for me. And then the other thing, it has an addition on it. But the guidelines say the guidelines for historic preservation say that addition's acceptable as long as you can tell it's separate from the main house, and that you could remove the addition and it wouldn't affect the original house, which is true of,
Like some
this-
essential element of the house would not go when you remove.
right, right. And also you can tell it's an addition, which is fine. So I did think that, because at first I thought, I don't know about that with the addition, but
Mhm.
you know, because the railings are different, but it is an addition, so it doesn't have to have the exact same elements on it as the original structure. So for those reasons, I've decided that that is a house I'm going to vote for, 706 Market. And there's a couple other things. The Mccoombs house at 120 South Union also had,
Kathy, forgive me. Let's talk about Market Street first, and then we'll go to.
oh, sure.
Okay, yeah. Anybody else have some comments on Market Street?
I had some comments on Market Street.
Sure, go ahead, Roger.
I did, of course, notice that it had a very large addition in the back.
Mhm.
But part of that addition has a porch which mimics the front porch on the original house.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
And basically 3 sides of that house, the front and the 2 sides, are original in appearance, maybe not in exact,
Mhm.
you know, historical accuracy, but in appearance.
Right, right.
And I don't think anyone ever pointed out that that house is on the Maryland inventory of historic properties.
I think I missed that on my spreadsheet. You know, I was checking that this afternoon. I caught
So
it.
you know, that sort of gives it a little advantage, I think.
Right.
And you can compare the photo in the Maryland inventory to, you know, to the front photo,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make a comment about just the definition of preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Preservation doesn't, I don't think, necessarily mean that every single element of a historic house is preserved.
Mhm.
That would basically be historical restoration. And this house does have quite a bit of preservation.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my comments on that one. I'm voting for that one.
Okay. Well, hold on to that. We're going to vote a little bit later. Did anybody else have a comment on 706 Market Street?
Oh, another thing that wasn't mentioned was the fact that it does have the original clapboard siding, which is a big
That's
deal.
important, isn't it? Yeah.
And the original fish scale shingles in the gable, and the original porch posts and railing. All those elements are the originals that were preserved. So that's another point in that house's favor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for pointing those out, Kathy. And it's similarity to your house or your former house on Bourbon. Or obviously, we have to respect your perspective on that. I don't know, when I walk by that house, it cheers me up. You know, it's just an example of a lovely Havre de Grace vernacular. I don't know the folks who live there. I don't know anything about it, but and that it's it is directly next to the Moore family homestead, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's just a really nice, and again, that gets back to one of our, at least from my perspective, one of our concerns is streetscape. And I think it's just really a very harmonious, you know, facade presentation. So, okay, does anybody else have anything else to say about 706 Market?
Let me just say one more thing.
Sure.
That house was purchased recently.
Oh,
I believe it was the highest price ever paid for a
Yeah.
single family dwelling in Havre de Grace.
Really?
This sort of let me see if I can I sent an email out today with that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't note the price. At any rate, I think it also is relates to the fact that if you have a very attractive historically looking house, that really does add value.
Absolutely. We know that from so many studies of historic preservation, how really just an absolute engine historic preservation is for property values, but so many other things as well. And we're going to be talking about that a lot more in February. Kevin, you wanted to say something?
Oh, no. I'm agreeing with everyone.
Okay, that's good. Well, I mean, we're all bringing our own unique perspectives on things, either as, folks who've just read about this stuff or folks who've owned old houses. So it's really interesting. Okay, well, let's move on from 706 Market Street to one of the other properties. Let's see. How about if we? I'm not real sure how the home built house, 319 Lafayette Street. Not real sure how that got on the list. Who initially was advocating it? This is the city-owned property. That's the small structure by the Heirloom Victory Gardens on the Moore family homestead.
Part of the Moore family home.
I think that just came up. We were having a discussion about things, and
Okay.
somehow it ended up being the thought that somebody had recommended it for the award, but I don't think anybody ever really did.
Okay, all right. I mean, it's a very interesting house, and Diane Claire has educated me about it. But I don't think, I mean, maybe in the future, the city will do something to bring it back to life a little more. But I think, it's certainly of interest, but perhaps not for the ward. Okay, moving right along, we got, let's see. We've got one that Jim presented kind of late in the game, but I am eager to hear everyone's responses. The cottage at South Union.
Yeah.
Which I call Mrs. Boxford's house because my 6th grade teacher lived there. I love this house personally. I don't know the current owner. I did look him up. He does not live there full time. He lives in the county somewhere. That's not really germane to anything, but I don't know what the situation is, but clearly the house is very lovingly maintained. Jim, you want to jump? Was it Jim or Roger who suggested it? Jim did. Okay, I thought so. Okay.
Well, I just said it's a well-maintained house. I'm sure that the windows are original, but they're exact copies of what was there. Thanks to Kathy, who looked it up and discovered that it's a factory, factory-built home. Is remarkably like the picture that they were using to sell.
Is it? Oh, neat.
I loved it.
So I just think that that it's a fabulous house, and nobody ever seems to notice it. It's just kind of went in the avenue there, but it really is, and it's an example of something that's a little more modern than all the Victorians that we have in town.
Absolutely.
It'd be nice to see us recognize that you don't have to be a Victorian to be a historic preservation.
Yeah, I think it's important that we move forward a little bit in time. And this house was built in 1935. I think that shows that. Very, very, very conscientiously kept up. Anybody got any other remarks about the South Ave?
Okay, I think that we should have homes that are owner occupied. The owner lives in Churchville. Obviously it's a rental, and I mean, he keeps it up and everything, but it's not owner occupied. And I think part of this award is for homes that are owner occupied, people that take pride in their homes. They take care of their homes. They live there.
I would agree with you, Kathleen. I do think it's important, and I only discovered that today when I looked at Maryland Assessments database, so I had no idea who owned it now. But I think we need to clarify that, with the owner. But I absolutely agree with you, because it's an award for homeowners, and that does get complicated because we've had some situations as I added our awards for the last 10 plus years to a spreadsheet. we've awarded, and there's nothing wrong with this, but we've awarded preservation awards to people who have kind of bought a house that's already been restored, you know, you're kind of like, oh, wow.
Right.
And as a previous owner of a historic house in Pennsylvania, I'm like, wait a minute, we did all that work. But it is, of course, the idea is to celebrate historic preservation. But again, I kind of agree with you on the residential piece and the whole current owner piece. That's just a hard thing to sort out. Obviously, people who have bought a restored house, as several people pointed out earlier, are paying premium value for this beautifully restored home. You know, it all sorts out. But I don't know. How do people feel about Catherine's remark about non-residential owners?
I personally completely disagree with that, in that I think any property in town that's well preserved should be noted. I think and when I look back, some of the churches in town have been given the award. So I think quite often the people that probably need the most incentive to take good care of historic properties are people who own multiple historic properties in town.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And if
That's the point.
if one of them did do a decent job restoring or maintaining and restoring one of their properties, I think that's a real plus. There's nothing wrong with, probably 90% of the time we would be giving them to individual homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
But I really just don't think that somehow there's something wrong with giving the award to somebody who isn't the homeowner, or in this case, somebody who has their home. This is their second home or whatever. They're by the bay. As long as they're maintaining the property, doing a nice job, I think that's worth noting. There's plenty of people in town who don't live here all the time, and giving an award to something like that also then includes a whole new group of people that might take an interest in their properties as well.
Mhm.
And plus, I think are we awarding the house, or are we awarding the people? We're kind of awarding the house, you know.
Yeah.
So I can see everybody's points, but about the cottage that we're just talking about, that house has, of course they did a great job, but it's not historic preservation. It's just doesn't qualify in my view, because the siding is vinyl shingles. The railings are all vinyl. The porch was extended from the original footprint. So those things rule it out in my book.
Maybe it's a beautification award kind of house.
Right.
Because I think that would be a very nice beautification award.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we're back to, do you give a beautification award to a non-owner occupied house? I somewhat agree with Jim that and Kathy, that we're awarding it to the architecture, to the house, not necessarily the owner. And we've given awards to rental properties in the past.
Oh, we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Commercial properties. We've given awards.
Commercial, yeah.
Oh, right. That's true.
Rental property.
Yeah, I see Kathleen's point too.
I think we need more information. I mean, it maybe, like Jim just said, maybe this is their Bayside cottage that they don't, who occupies it? Maybe it's not a rental property. Maybe it is.
Yeah, see, I'm not clear.
It may be occupied by a member of the family, or it may be vacant and the actual owner does use it certain times of the year.
Yeah.
I think if we got more information on that property, I think we could, except for the points that Kathy made, I think we could consider it in the future.
Okay. Clearly, we need more information, and we brought up some really good points relative to who we're giving the award to, and from what I could tell from the Maryland SDAT database, it's just a non residential property, however they
It's a
characterize.
residential property, but it's non-homeowner occupied.
Correct.
But it's not a principal residence. The person lives in church.
We don't know,
I don't know how
the mother-in-law might live there or
Yeah.
something, you
Or
don't
it
know.
might,
We
it
don't
might
know.
come down on the weekends. We don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think in the future we'll have to talk about this and decide because
And
Yeah.
honestly, other than our efforts to really adhere to the U.S. Secretary of Interior standards, I don't know that this issue of owner occupied whatever has come up in the deliberations about who gets an award in town. But it's a good question to ask, and we just need to figure it out. So, okay, let's move on. If no one has any further comments about the South Union Avenue property, let's move on to another choice. We've got the house on Giles Street, which is the Poldy Hearst designed home, 605 Giles. It was built in 1969. And I know, Jim, you had some feelings about this house. Would you like to speak to it?
Well, it's once again, I'm pounding the, it's not a Victorian, but it's fairly recent. But the lineage of the house is kind of an interesting part of this house is that it was designed by the architect who lived in it. And she was one of the first, I think the first architect entered into the Maryland Institute of Architects.
Mhm.
So, the house itself is obviously unique. It's a mid-century modern, but it's not just any mid-century modern. It's a unique architect designed version, and you can certainly see some of the influences on her in her designs. And the house is one that has not been tampered with. It still looks like it. I mean, the wood is darker now, but it still looks like it did when it was built in 1960.
Mhm.
So.
And it's of a piece on that streetscape. The house, which is west of it, is also a Hirsch
Right,
design.
that house right next door is a Hirsch house,
Yeah.
and
Mhm. There are a couple others, yeah.
similar design and so on. And you're looking at the living room of a Hirsch house on the next block over. So
Right, right.
the right-
I have not been in this house we're discussing upstairs for many years, but I have been in the lower level, which is huge. Your remarks about it are based on exterior examination, right? Which is really all we're focusing on anyway.
Right.
You were saying that the
I've been
color of
on
the door has been changed. Yeah. Mhm.
fairly recently, but I mean the inside it hasn't changed either.
Okay.
They use the downstairs sort of as a showroom for their business and
Mhm.
and all. So, but I'd really rather, I don't think we're really worried about what the inside looks like.
right, just the exterior. I do think this is a deserved property. I mean, just because it's really pretty much the way the designer designed and built it still. I
Mhm.
mean, original cladding, as original, pretty much looks original. And the house next to it, Jim, is adorable too. I love it. But I feel like if we're going to give an award to one of them, we ought to give it to the Poldy Hirsch family home first, and then maybe give the other one another year if we if we vote on it, if we vote on those. But I'm in support of that house.
I
Okay.
am too.
Anybody? Oh, okay.
I just wanted to say that if you go to realtor.com, this again is a house that recently sold for a very high price
Right.
because of its notoriety.
Yeah.
Not necessarily historic notoriety, but definitely architectural.
Yeah.
So if you want to see what all of the rooms on the inside look like, just go to realtor.com.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I've been in it. It's amazing inside, like the kitchen, still everything looked original when the Hirsches still lived there before it was sold to these new people.
Well, just a quick, I assume everybody knows that the current owner runs a mid-century furniture business.
Yeah.
Okay. So people are feeling, how about Candace? We haven't heard from you yet.
Unmute.
You're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
It wouldn't go off mute. I'm so sorry. I really like, did you say it was a female architect?
Yeah, Poldy Hirsch.
I like that. I don't know much about her, but that's very interesting to me. And I love the house. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Well, if you go to the Maryland Institute of Architects, they make quite a fuss about Poldy Hirsch. And actually they've had tours in Havre de Grace of her properties. So, yeah. So,
and actually, Jim lives in one of those houses. He lives in a Poldy Hirsch designed house.
Yes.
Or Jim Nemeth.
Yes, I wasn't going to mention that. But
Behind
okay, so people have any other comments or observations about this suggestion? Okay. Let me look at my spreadsheet and we'll go to another one. We have, let's see, we did the Moore family. Okay, let's do the Mccoombs house, 120 South Union. I know.
Well, I put that one forward. I'll talk about that one because I put it forward. And the one thing, this house does have the original clapboard siding, the original wood windows, has some alterations. I think a long time ago, it had a porch extending all the way around the front of it, which has been long gone. But more recently, it has on the east side of it, they've made some alterations, which an original picture went around. So there's been some alterations from the original structure. But there's no vinyl on it. That's good in my view. Anyway, I think that in my mind, I think this house deserves a historic preservation award. I mean, it's not totally original, but pretty close. So that's my opinion of it. Anybody else?
I like that.
Some people expressed concern about was it the shutters and
oh yeah, she did discard the shutters. It looked so much better with those shutters, and they were I'm pretty sure they were original, although Ellen said maybe not, but they were wooden and they were on the house a long time ago, so I don't know.
I painted that house when they first painted it pink, the previous owners.
Yeah,
they're helping, and those were definitely the original shutters.
Oh, I love that. It looked much better with the shutters. So, but yeah, that's not good that they removed those shutters and probably just got rid of them.
Another thing, they added a deck on the top of the side porch.
Yeah.
Took out windows and replaced them with, they're not sliding glass doors, but like patio doors to go
right.
Out.
Yeah, that's definitely was altered.
I certainly wouldn't think that that's in the spirit of the architecture of the building.
I think if you counted all the features in that house that are original and restored, and then you counted all the features that were not very historic or eliminated, I think the historical features would win.
I agree. I actually was going to say proportionally or however you want to do it, a ratio. It seems like they've really kept most of it intact.
And I don't think
that's awesome.
I don't think the upper, I don't think it ruins the house or really, not that big of a detriment to it.
If you look at that photo from the Maryland inventory from 1977 and look at that upper porch, the way that was, the roof was sloped and flashed and so on. I mean, that was just a candidate for rot.
Oh.
I think part of the reason they redid that was just out of expediency.
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And also the doors are they're arched, they're not like boring, suburban house sliders, they made some effort to make them look a little grander. one thing to keep in mind, again, going back to my streetscape thing, is that this house is a part of probably our most iconic street in Havre de Grace, Union Avenue. So keep that in mind. I mean, frankly, I don't, I was surprised when the pink color came on board a number of years ago when I was living elsewhere and visiting. But anyway, any other comments on 120 South Union? We haven't heard from you, Kevin.
Uh-oh.
Over there. Okay.
I'm not a fan of the pink color, but I agree. It's a preservation. It's not a restorer, but I think we have to look at preservation more than restoring in around here.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
People do have to live there.
Right. And as Jim pointed out, the whole issue of materials, this house is from 1880. Of course, it starts to weather and deteriorate. Okay. Any other comments on 120? Okay. We did the house on Union. Let's see. We did the Market Street house. Okay. I guess we're down to the two houses kind of over in my neighborhood. Let's go with the Cook house. I'm not sure who promoted this one. Does anybody recall?
I think that was the one I brought up, 553 Giles.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I presented that. I think that has original wooden windows. I went and looked at it really close. It was kind of the side, whatever it is, the side porch area. That's definitely vinyl windows, and it was an addition. But I think the other part of it looks pretty original. The original part of the house. I'm not like married to this house, but that's all I have to say about it.
Sure. It and the house next to it are quite charming on that corner.
Yeah. The other one definitely has replacement vinyl windows, but they're both adorable houses.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll keep it on our list. We're going to keep a list of worthy properties in town. Okay, and then moving along to Jean Baines's house at 1100 South Adams. Does anyone have any observations about it?
Well, you brought that one up, so you tell us about it.
Well, this house was built in 1939 by A.T. and Isabel Baines. A.T. Baines was a prominent local businessman. And I have full disclosure, they are my neighbor, or they were my
They are your neighbors, right next door to you.
Yes, and I was a very little kid when we built our house and moved in next door. But the house has been beautifully maintained and kept much like it was when it was built by their one child, Jean Baines, who, again, full disclosure, is a friend. But I can tell you for sure, because I live next door, that the original clapboard of the house has been beautifully repainted and maintained. And they've done all kinds of things that keep the house like it was in 1939. The only thing they did on the exterior was going off the, what we would now call the master bedroom. I don't think they used that language back in the 30s, was an open deck. And they have put a roof on that. And, it's just a lovely space to look out over the bay. And it's very harmonious with the original structure. So that's pretty much all I have to say. The interior of the house was on the candlelight tour a number of years ago. It's a beautiful center hall home. I know we're not considering interiors, but it's a lovely house. And that sort of weird street at Chesapeake Drive, was only developed really in the 30s. So it's kind of an odd little area of town that doesn't necessarily in any way follow the original city plan, the Stokes plan. It was part of the Bloomsbury plat. And so that's it.
Now, Jean, do you know why they situated the house on the lot that way? Why they didn't it seems a little unusual, but a long time ago, people didn't really admire the waterfront as much as they do now.
Absolutely not. They did not. You're quite right. And when Senator Tidings built the house, kind of at the end of our street, people just didn't build houses on the waterfront. They just didn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Your kind of thing. Yeah. So the houses on next to the Baines property, they are all 30s or later. Yeah.
Yeah, and they all face the street, and that house is just different. But I think it's a lovely house, and I think it's just based on what I saw, the original clapper that looked like the wooden windows with the divided lights, that all looked original. I don't know about the garage doors. They look great. They're the right style, but I don't know if they were original or not.
I think they are original.
Oh, really? Yeah, they look good. So, I think it's worth considering. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm confused. Which one is this one?
I'll show you the picture. Let me hold on just a minute.
Okay.
It's facing east, Candace. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to share my screen. Hold on. Yeah. So it's facing east, and it's at the end of Adams.
Yeah.
And you can see in the picture in the right the left-hand side of the photo, this little bit of a roof here, that's that second floor deck. Well, by 30 standards. But I think these are the original garage doors. It's just a lovely hybrid race.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. This whole, I could tell you that they've been working for years on repainting the clapboard. The original paint was burned off, and then they painted. And this last section here, just above the garage, was just done very recently.
I know.
The shutter is actually. The shutter look functional.
Right. Look at
like
the shutters. They're actually functional.
Yeah.
And they were wooden too, because I walked up and looked at them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is unusual. You don't see functional shutters very often.
They had some damage. I can't recall whether it was water or termites or something. You can't see it behind this bush, but they had it beautifully redone, just as it would have, looked. Because this first floor has a screen porch going off the living room, so it's
The garage doors do look original. They look like they're folding doors.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh, right. Yeah. They look, when things are original, they just look right, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of nice things were done with this house. And of course the door is original and everything.
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to remind everybody that the houses that we can only pick 3, but the other houses, we'll keep them on the list for other years,
Yeah.
So it's not like they wouldn't be considered again.
Absolutely.
So, because we might have more than 3 worthy properties.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Well, I think we've really opened things up. We have a house built in 1880 under consideration, and we have a house built in 1969.
Yeah.
So I think we've really opened things up.
Yeah, thanks to Jim.
Yeah. So yeah, let me just go back to my list here. So we did, yeah, I think, oh, we didn't talk about the Hoax House, which I know over email, many of us had expressed some concern about its, whether it had been maintained, and it is on the Maryland Historic Trust, and it's certainly of enormous historic interest, but and architecturally, I know it's important, but
It has the best set of steps, entrance steps in town, in my opinion.
I
I look at them every time I walk by there, and I walk by there a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you, Candace. I do like that.
They're gorgeous.
But I really also don't like that when they had that fire and they replaced those windows on the east side, they didn't replace them with the appropriate style. They replaced them with 1/1 instead of the style of all the other windows. So that's what bugs me. Plus the point that Kathleen made about just the poor condition of the back of it, especially.
right.
Front's not too bad.
When was the fire? When?
It was a few years ago. Might remember it. And it was on the east side. As you're looking at it, the right side, and they had to replace 2 windows, and those 2 windows that they replaced were a 1/1 panes, different style than all the other windows. So that, because I remember when they did it, I thought, oh no, that's not right.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's the last one on our list. So do you want to try to vote?
Yeah, I think, and I really appreciate Jean, you doing this, because this is the first year that Historic Preservation has ever really discussed our houses. And I really think it was a great learning opportunity for all of us. And even though it took up a lot of the meeting, we only do it once a year. And usually we just rushed right through it really quick. So I really appreciate us having the opportunity to look at the houses and think about them and talk about why one house might be qualified, another one might not, because it's all a good learning experience, especially for our newer members.
Absolutely. The whole idea is to celebrate preservation, not to make anybody feel bad. Obviously, we can only pick so many, but okay. What I'm going to do is let's how about if we say everyone gets 3 votes, which they may or may not use. And I'm sorry, Kathleen, did you want to say something?
No.
Oh, your box lit up. So I
don't know. Anything? No.
Okay. You must have, taken a deep breath or something. All right. So I have a little matrix that I made. So I'm going to just go through and ask for votes for each property. Okay, hold on. Let me find what I'm doing here. All right, let's see. Tedious as heck. Okay, here we go. All right, so may I have votes on the Baines house? I think I did these alphabetically. No, I didn't. Sort of. Let's go in reverse order. I think we all feel, well, no, I shouldn't say that. Let's take a vote on each one. And so I will just go through, maybe Kathleen, you can help me make sure we
have everybody?
I'm sorry?
I can make sure that we have everybody.
Yeah.
Counted.
Not sure we've lost Bob or not. I was so busy thinking about these houses. I think I might have neglected. Okay. So if everyone could, you can either abstain, you can choose not to use your vote on the house, or you can vote for it. All right, go ahead, Kathleen.
I'm going to put up the Hoax House first.
Okay.
Could you give me an address when you?
Yeah, because I don't know them so much by name, but by address.
This is the architect designed house that was designed in 1969. That's on Giles Street, the 600 block of Giles Street.
I thought you said the Hoax House.
Oh, I didn't say. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm I'm way ahead of the game here. Okay, the Hoax House, which is the one that's on Union, that has the inappropriate windows and the back.
213 South Union.
Thank you.
I have all the
Yeah,
addresses written
That's the
down.
one that's a
Thank
rent.
you, Kathy.
Yeah, that's the one that's been divided up. Into
Yes.
Many
Many apartments.
I'll bring up the pictures.
So do we have anyone that wants to vote for that house?
I'm an underdog person, so even if it's the only vote that it gets, I have to vote for it. I can't let it go without a vote.
Okay, that's one vote.
I'm voting for the stairs.
One vote.
Point of voting. We want to be, yeah, okay. Anyone else?
So I guess we're going to go to the 1930s cottage.
Okay.
Which I'm not sure which one that is.
What's the address of that one? Let me think. Yeah, we do need to say the addresses as we're doing this.
Can you all hear, can you all see my little grid?
Yeah.
I can see it.
We can, I
Yeah,
can see the
there's
grid.
no address there.
The problem is that I can't share multiple documents with y'all at the same time. So I will, I sent these around with the address. Let me just go.
Yeah, I don't have the address of the cottage. I know it's South Union.
23 South Union. And
823.
yeah, I have all these right here. I just have to figure out how to show.
Oh, right. Maybe we could do it that way. We could look at it this way.
Yeah, let's look at that this way.
I just want to keep a tally of the votes appropriate.
Okay.
Hold on just a minute.
Okay.
23. That's
823.
the one that we were gonna find out more about. Who lives there?
Yeah, is it a rental property? What's the story on it?
Yeah.
I can tell you all that. I've looked up all this. Can you see now my spreadsheet? Would you
Yeah.
all-
Yeah.
I like it when I like that. We can see the address. We can see the name of the house.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, it's owned by a Mr. Richard A. Zan, and he lives in Churchville, but we don't know for sure whether it is an owner occupied, partially occupied or on weekends or whatever, or whether it's a rental property.
Yeah.
Does that make
I
sense?
think I think we can go through this a little faster. Everybody knows the houses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go through the voting because it's getting to be late. It's almost 8:30.
Okay.
Okay.
Other things we could do.
Bedtime.
All right,
So are there any votes for 823 South Union Avenue?
I abstained.
Okay.
okay, well,
So
yeah, if it's fine you abstain, but let's is there a positive vote on that? Anyone?
Could we maybe go through each one of us individually and we'll just give our 3 votes?
I think that's a good idea. That way nobody votes 4 times.
Let me just make another column here. This is so awkward on Zoom, I mean, it's awkward anytime.
no, you did a good job, Jean.
Yeah,
Really.
you did a terrific job.
Yes.
Let's, oops. All right, so I'll keep the votes here. All right, so Roger, oh, wait a minute, that's not good. Hold on just a second. I thought.
So Hoax House 1, Cottage 30-0.
Let me just do, okay. So, all right, so Roger, what are your votes?
Okay, my votes are 706 Market,
Okay,
605 Giles,
hold on. 605 Giles, yep,
120 South Union.
okay. All right,
You can give me I'll take the same 3.
okay, Ellen, thank you.
I'll take the same 3 too.
All right, oops.
And I'm going to take the same 3, Kathy.
Okay. All right. Can you all see my spreadsheet while I'm working on it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm trying to be mindful of this whole, issue of open meetings, and we don't want
Oh,
people.
right. That's good, Jean.
All
I
right.
could have never done all this.
Oh, me neither.
Who have we not heard from yet, Kevin?
Me. Let's see. The Hirsch House, yes. That's one. The Market Street House, definitely yes.
Okay, hold on. Yep.
I haven't decided about the rest.
Well, you don't have to exercise all 3 votes. It's whatever you choose to do.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
You can return to it if you wish. Candace, you voted for the Hoax House. Do you have 2 others? You'd like to vote?
Yes. Is the Baines house the one that was your neighbor?
Yes.
Yep, that's one for me. And then the Hirsch house.
Okay. All right. Who have we not heard from?
Me,
Jim? Yep.
I'll vote for the Hirsch House
Okay.
and the Market Street House.
Okay. Who else? Anybody else? Who we missed on?
How about Ellen?
So Ellen,
Ellen voted.
Ellen voted. Carolyn, I guess you don't get to vote, right? Is that it then?
Is Bob here?
Is Bob still here?
I think he might have cycled off the meeting.
Yeah.
He was on mute earlier.
Yeah, I think he's not on any longer. Let me just double.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Bob.
Good.
This is Bob Green.
Yes. Hi, Bob.
Hi.
So Bob, which houses do you like?
The ones that Jim Nemeth picked.
Okay. I know it's harder for you, Bob, because you don't have the visuals in front of you.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to go with what Jim voted for, which was the Hirsch House.
Yes.
Okay, and the Market Street House, correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Your vote has been counted, kind sir. And again, I know it's a challenge to keep up with all this because you don't have the visuals. Okay. All right.
I trust it. I trust his judgment.
Very good. I do too. Okay.
Now we haven't heard from Jean yet.
Well, I voted for the Baines house just now.
Okay.
Now 2. And yeah, and I do love the Market Street house, so I guess I'll give that a vote, but that's by no means meaning that I don't value the others, because I do. I love the house on South Union, but as I said, when your 6th grade teacher lives somewhere, you kind of get this.
Yeah, biased. That's okay.
Okay, so it looks like the Hirsch House and the Market Street House will receive our 2021 Preservation Award. And guess what, guys? This is not over, because now we have to look at the beautification thing. So I welcome your contributions. I will add them to the spreadsheet, which now has a sheet called Candidates for Beautification Awards.
Yeah.
But Jean, we can pick the top 3 vote getters, right?
Sure, if you want.
Is that what we do?
Yeah.
Because we're going to give 3 awards.
We can. We have given 3 awards. We have not given 3 awards. So yes, thank you, Kathy.
Well, what's everybody else think? I mean,
I think the Mccoombs house should be our 3rd choice. It's received 4 votes.
Right, it's the next highest vote getter, and we usually do give 3 awards if we have 3. We usually give 3 of the top 3 vote getters. Unless we only want to give 2 awards this year.
I mean, we should give 3.
Okay.
The last year we gave 3. As you can see, the previous previous year we gave 3, 2025. We've given 3. We even gave 4 in 2014, as you can see.
All right.
And only 2 in 2013. So it's really been kind of all over the map.
Mhm.
But, if folks would like to give 3 this year, I'm certainly not opposed to that. And, we can go ahead and do that. I would like to have a vote on that, if I may, please. Does everyone feel comfortable with that? Should I assume that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we should give 3.
All right.
I agree.
I agree.
That's
So-
fine. Yes.
So the winners are the Mccoombs house, the Hirsch house, and the Market Street house that's owned by Alicia and Kirk Meyer. Okay. All right. Very good. We actually did it, guys.
Wow.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to?
Were you gonna suggest something, Jean, about artwork?
Well, I would love to. Am I okay bringing that up, Ellen?
Well, yeah, I think I've warmed to the idea that that would be kind of a good thing.
Well, why don't you tell the folks what we discussed?
Well, Jean asked me to do a sketch of the houses instead of it being presented as a photo, that it could be presented as a framed sketch. And I thought about it and I said, that's a good challenge for me. I think that would be great.
Oh, I'm delighted. I'm absolutely.
I like that.
Ellen.
That's great, Ellen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Wonderful.
and it would be a signed original piece of art.
Yeah.
So we're going to give them that in addition to the plaque. We're still going to we're going to still do the plaque because it has the date on it and all that, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really thrilled, Ellen. You've
Love that idea.
Yeah, this is great. This is lovely. And you've already started thinking about what?
No, this is from today, and I couldn't do just one person's. I did the entire group.
Wow, you're getting fast, Ellen. You used to be able to do one person.
Something else.
Love it, Ellen.
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. We've spent a lot of time on this and it's still valuable because as someone commented, we're all learning and we're sharing information in really, really useful ways. I'm going to put off till the next meeting. Actually, I'd probably just share it by email. It's not a decision-making thing. It's just my summary of my meeting with Erica, which was so valuable, and a couple of other things. I would like to, though, very briefly go over the idea of this whole memberships thing. I just wanted to clarify that we have only one institutional membership, if you want to call it that, and that's to the Maryland Association of Historic Preservation Commissions. And that will be renewed in next month. And that renewal will come to City Hall, by the way, Jim, and it's $75 a year. So that's been cleared up. The other issue is whether as a commission, we should subsidize individual memberships in organizations that offer continuing ed, webinars, wonderful publications, etc., for the benefit of all of us. And I've come up with a list of what I think are credible organizations we could all choose to join or not. So what I will do in the interest of time tonight, I will send that list around. It includes everything from the Hartford Historical Society to the National Trust for Historic Preservation that I know several of us already belong to. You can choose to have your membership paid for in all or in part, depending on the cost of the membership by the commission, or you can cover it yourself, whatever you choose to do. But there's some amazing organizations out there that I think we would all benefit from. I don't think we should all join one, because this way we can, information. So I will send by email. Now, several of you have received renewal notices from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Just to be clear, who's received those renewal notices? I know Kathleen has. You have?
I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, and again, that's right. It gets problematic about the renewal month and all that. Now, to your knowledge, Kathy, you are a member, though?
I am a member, but I just haven't received my renewal.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure if I might have dropped my personal membership after we started paying for it out of this. I'm not sure. I don't know. I forget.
Yeah, some of the records were a little unclear.
But I do think this is a very worthy thing to spend our money on, and we have $5,000 almost in our regular account.
Absolutely, and I think it's important from the continuing education kind of perspective.
Sure.
For all of us, and also, you hear about things, you hear about grants, you hear about a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll get this nailed down. And again, from the perspective of how to get reimbursed, what we're going to do is if one of you or several join the list of sort of approved organizations, and again, if someone wants to add an organization to that and they can make a case for it, I'm fine with that. But then you will maintain your membership. It just gets too messy for the committee.
Okay. So then we get reimbursed by the regular budget.
You will send me the, I paid $50 for whatever.
Okay.
And then I'll send it on to the city administration and they reimburse you. Okay?
Jean, what sort of documentation do you want? Because Kathleen has gotten a request for renewing the membership, and we're going to send them $20 by check. So
Right.
Is a canceled check enough for the documentation?
Right. Or the membership sign up form that shows that you signed
Okay,
up.
we'll have the membership sign up form and the canceled check.
Yeah, sure. That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay.
We're not talking about
$20.
Fine. My expectation is that I think it's reasonable, and we can revisit this at a later meeting, but I think $50 a year for each member is reasonable. If you want to join more organizations beyond that, that's your decision. Obviously, we would benefit from any organizations you belong to. My only thought is that if the commission pays for you to belong to a particular organization, you'll make a point of sharing anything that you get out over the wires about, webinars or anything like that. I mean, there are some organizations that are fabulous out there that are not directly, involved with historic preservation and Havre de Grace. I love Heritage Baltimore. They've done some of the most wonderful, videos online since the pandemic started. What's better than have Johns Hopkins, giving these talks, but they're fascinating. And of course, they're in direct and indirect ways a part of Harford County history too. So the other thing I will send by email in the interest of time, I won't go over tonight, is I attended a really interesting Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway update meeting that was chaired, of course, by Bridget, and learned a lot of interesting stuff, one of which our wonderful Diane Claird mentions a lot, which is the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the United States of America and the development by the National Park Service of the Washington Rochambeau Revolutionary Route Trail, which of course Havre de Grace is on, along with 2 other national trails. So I think as a Historic Preservation Commission, we really want to stay very much abreast of what's going on with those national trails. And I just realized I forgot to Mel Carroll, maybe she can jump on to the very end of this meeting. So they talked a lot about that. They talked about the Harford County 250th anniversary of Harford County, which is they're developing plans for that. And of course, those of you who are in town obviously know about the 200th anniversary of the Lafayette Farewell Tour. So I will share that meeting summary with all of you. There's some interesting stuff. Is that your bird, Kathleen?
That's my phone.
Oh. Yeah, so that's Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway. And of course, they were very helpful when we tried to get that MHT grant through the Havre de Grace, the Historic Havre de Grace Foundation last summer. And they're just a good organization for us to keep track of and find out what's going on. You hear about stuff, you know, that you didn't know what was happening. I mean, I didn't know the Greenway Museum is going to be expanding. You hear all these bits of news that are fascinating. So anyway, I will report on that via an email. Does anybody have anything else they want to share for the good of the commission? Everybody's real enthused that I've asked all of you to keep minutes. I expected a pushback on that.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely thrilled.
It's kind of an onerous job. And, you know, all this is recorded. You can watch it if you get insomnia or anything. Well, I think we did a bang up job on the preservation awards. And I have to tell you, the whole process is a little bit laborious, but thank you all. That was great. And so glad, Bob, you could join us. Are you still there?
You're on mute, Bob.
Unmute.
Yeah, he's on mute.
No, you're not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
And everybody,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you, Bob.
Bob.
All right. Next meeting, Erica Quisenberry will be joining us, and we're going to talk about the economic importance of historic preservation. At the time, Carol will probably need to be coming on, but she will be joining us at some point, maybe tonight, but also we're about to get off, so probably not, but she will have a write-up of the Mitchell Farm property, but keep your ear to the ground. Maybe we can learn more about the property. Local folks.
Well, I've got to go.
Okay. Bob. Be safe.
Good night.
Good night, Bob.
Bob.
Who's keeping the meeting tonight? Are you keeping the meeting? Are you keeping the minutes, Kathleen?
No.
Who is?
Gina.
I don't have to tell you this. I'm just going to remind, it's really important to have these, the award winners in this minutes of this meeting, because we'll be looking back and say, who did we, the name of the house, the address, and all that.
I'll do that before I go to bed tonight.
Yeah, and then I'm going to be contacting, or Carol Nemeth is going to be communicating with the award winners. And hi, Carol.
Hi, here's Carol now. Carol,
Carol's going to be communicating with the award winners, and she's going to get the name that they want on their plaque and the date. You know, we will, you know, whether they have the same date we have and all that. And then I'm going to be ordering the plaques. Once I get that information from Carol, then I'm going to be ordering the plaques with it. Once I know the right name and the right date. And then Carol will be probably sending them a letter or communicating with these people, and, you know, letting us know how that goes. Thank you for volunteering to do that, Carol.
Yeah, thank you,
Be on
Carol.
the safe side, so I know which ones I'm going to work on: the Mccoombs house, the 706 Market, and the Hirsch.
Yes.
Okay. It's
well, yeah. you weren't here yet, Carol, but Ellen is going to be doing drawings of each of our houses that we are recognizing this year.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, good job, Ellen. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, we managed to get through it, and you are just on another issue. Now that you're on, Carol, you're going to distribute by email your summary of your visit to the Benchell Farm property.
Yes, thanks for asking. Yes, I'm almost finished with that. And I'll probably send it to, I was hoping to send it today, but I'll send it either to probably tomorrow. And yeah, it's a lovely house. And you know, I was really glad to get to take a look at it. Diane was very patient with me as I looked over the property, and so I felt privileged to go, and it's a shame, but I will send the description of the house and the grounds and things to everyone. And hi, Roger.
That was not me, that was the dog.
From Shane that we would have access to the house a little later on if we, arrange.
I am really interested. I don't know how we can do it, but I'm really interested in more information about the house, when it was built. I'm assuming that I'm assuming that they just had their own design, but I don't know. Does anybody have any information at all about the building of that house?
Not to my knowledge. Shane, who was on earlier tonight with us, has done some research more on the earlier maps that may or may not have shown the property. I don't know if there's much out there to be found on the, the design or who might have built it or anything.
Okay, well, yeah, it just is, it's a little puzzling. It's either it looks like it was either a two-step process, like it looked like the original house was very, very small, which you're very small, almost like maybe a 2/2, and then built on from that, and maybe even built on from that again, but Diane and I weren't sure about that, and it's just really interesting. Have you been in the house, Jean?
No, I just remember going there as a kid to get corn, but I don't.
Okay.
House at all.
Okay, yeah, and then there was that other house next to it. It looked like it had a really old foundation. Diane pointed that out, and we could see that there, and it looked. I could imagine. I'm guessing again that maybe one of the Hopkins maybe got too old, perhaps, to live in that house anymore. And then perhaps they built that house next to it, and that's my guess. I wish we had some. Maybe are they called bonnets or is it the family, the bonnets? They're the Bonnets. Okay, so does anybody know any of the Bonnets at all?
I went to high school with, I think, one of them, but
I'd love to know, because my guess is they've got some information for
well, and I think that would be entirely appropriate if we decide as a commission we want to try to document the house, which I think many of us feel like we can. And again, the demolition is slated for March, but that doesn't mean we can't continue to work on this, documentation about the house. I mean, as Shane mentioned, its location is so interesting. in relation to, well, he didn't say specifically himself, the Havre de Grace villas, but I think that's true. And it's also that it's on the Post Road, the Kings Road. You know, it's just potentially, that house in 1850s might have been one of the later houses built on that property. You know, we just don't know.
Right.
And there are properties there that I guess Diane or Shane or both were saying perhaps were slave cabins. They were modest cabins. So.
Yeah, you mentioned something about a group of small houses that were on the property that were torn down.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right. We had seen some foundations. And I mean, for all we know, that foundation and next to it, where that house was, could have been one of those. You know, it's a very old foundation built on it. Does anybody know how big the property was originally? Like how many acres of land? Does
Well,
anybody know that?
Roger and Kathleen, are you guys up for doing a thorough deed search on the Mitchell property?
We'll do that. We will do that.
Oh,
We will go back as far as we can, you know, if we can read the writing on those handwritten deeds.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, I think I told you I did a very quick one, and clearly the property was added or detracted from many times. They sold something right away or actual property. I'm not clear on that, to the B&O Railroad when that line went in the 1880s. So it's a confusing, as I guess is typical of an
old deed. Yes.
Yeah. But, it was called Black Walnut Farm at one point. And then, yeah, that its proximity to Gashi Creek somehow factored into one of the deeds I read earlier. And
might have been a boundary line.
Yeah, so we're gonna, give this our all. And, you know, I know Kathleen and Roger are particularly obviously skilled and experienced at doing deed searches, but I would hope that all of us can just kind of, you know, really ask around and see what we can find. Of course, one of the challenges is the Mitchell family is a very large family in the Harford County and in Maryland for that matter. But they were important in agriculture and in public service. There was a Noble Mitchell, who was prominent in state politics, who came from Havre de Grace. So there's a lot of connections. And of course, the Mitchells first built Mount Felix. Madison Mitchell grew up on Mount Felix. So there's a lot of Mitchell connections. But do what we can. And yeah. Hey, I'm so glad you could come on, Carol.
Okay, sure. Me too. So I guess did Jim get on and Bob? Did Bob get on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all still here. Bob
did
just,
tell me he
Bob
wanted
just
to
left.
get on to
Bob
that.
got on by phone and he voted and yeah. And then yeah, we were all represented. So it was good.
Great. Perfect.
Good. All right.
Okay.
So should we wrap this up then?
Yeah.
Run much longer than we normally try to run. I'm kind of a believer in a 1-hour meeting, but we had a
Well,
lot.
you know, they used to run till 9 o'clock a lot with Ron, so.
I think that all just kind of wipes people out.
It's only once a month.
Yeah, I will send around obviously the minutes for tonight, and then I'll also send you that information that I gathered at the Lower Susquehanna Heritage meeting, and some stuff about historic or economic development, and yeah. So there we. Oh, and the thing about the organizations that we might or might not choose to join. Okay.
Yeah, I think you sent that out already, the organizations, because I got it.
I'm losing track. Anyway, some of those, some people I think aren't, of interest, but yeah.
Right. I got that. that when you send out HPC memberships.
Okay, great. Thanks.
It's my cat.
Thank you, Jean. Do you want me to make a motion to
That
adjourn?
was on my screen a few minutes ago.
Oh, no. Where's it on mine? Where's mine? I haven't seen mine. Which one's mine?
Other factory down below, middle.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just saw a switch. Now she's in the bottom.
Okay.
Good. Somebody leave?
Adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second it.
All right. The Kathleen.
Thank you.
I seconded it.
All right. I